After dominating the NBA at the start of the 2010s, the Golden State Warriors have been through a lot. They drafted Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green in 2009, 11, and 12. They changed the entire game of basketball, dominating the entire NBA with threes and the motion offense. They then signed Kevin Durant in the 2016 offseason, constructing perhaps the best team of all time. But then everything changed in 2019. KD got hurt and left them in free agency. Klay tore his ACL, and the next year they had an awful year with Steph also getting hurt. The Warriors now are back with now them having their big three healthy and hopefully ready to go. Hopefully Steph is ready by the playoffs. But for this 2022 playoffs, should we believe in the Golden State Warriors? So before we start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, as it further motivates me to make more videos like this. So let's get right into it. The Warriors currently won 53 games in the regular season, are 15th in offense and 2nd in defensive rating, and their defense has just been so elite. Their defense has always been a common theme with the Warriors' dominance, and they established with Mark Jackson in before Steve Kerr came. Dre is always communicating with him. Before his injury, Draymond was the clear frontrunner for the Defensive Player of the Year. Wiggins has now established himself as a really good defender, being able to lock up some really good players. Like he locked up Kawhi one game, he made LeBron have a really hard time, and he has all the physical tools to do it, but it was really unlocked with the Warriors and the Warriors culture. Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Gary Payton, Otto Porter Jr., Jonathan Kuminga are all solid defenders, and even Steph Curry, I would say, is an underrated defender. And overall, this team is really well coached. Steve Kerr, I would say, is a top 5 coach in the NBA, and he's just unlocked so many people. Yes, Mark Jackson established a really good culture with this Warriors team, but he really unlocked Steph Curry. He unlocked Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, all these guys, and yes, he definitely has some questionable moments, but he just always keeps his cool, and he's definitely a coach you want. He's won, 2 titles already. He's seen championships when he was playing, and Steve Kerr, I think, is a championship level coach, and he's definitely gonna help him. His defense is always there. He knows how this offense is run, and if they run it like they did in 2016, where they won 73 games, or yes, they don't have the same talent with Kevin Durant, but something like that, then this team is still going to be super scary, and their offense is just so clean. Steph Curry, yes, he had a down year, but he was still averaging 25, 5, and 6 on 38% from 3. Now, this is only the second season where he did not shoot over 40%, that's why he's the greatest shooter of all time, but he just started off so good. He started off so hot, but then he just went in that slump. Yes, he beat the 3-point record, but just slowly his efficiency went down and down. His points went down, and he was slowly just not making the shots that we know Steph Curry can make. And hopefully, after the injury, he got some good rest and can hopefully be back to the playoffs, because if Steph isn't playing like we know Steph was at the start of the year, that definitely lowers their chances a lot. But Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time, and if he's knocking down his shots, we know how good Steph Curry can be. Start of the year when he won MVP, back-to-back MVPs, but still, hopefully he can break out of his slump. We saw him drop 16 threes in the All-Star game, so if he can do something like that, I mean, of course he isn't, but just being able to go on that efficiency, then this Warriors team is going to be so scary. And then you have someone like Klay Thompson, who's finally back. He's averaging already 20 on 39% from 3, and he's just slowly getting accustomed back to the NBA. He was out for 2 seasons, tearing his ACL and then tore his Achilles on the opposite leg, which is 2 of the most serious injuries in all of basketball, which hurt him so much. But everyone loves Klay now. Everyone wants to see Klay Thompson back, and it's been so awesome, especially when he dropped 40 points against the Lakers. That was such a good game. I think he also dropped 40 against the Pelicans, and when you see Klay Thompson just hit those threes, he has a record, 14 threes. It's just so awesome to see that Klay Thompson back. Now, yes, I would say his defense isn't the same, but that's expected, and there's a lot of improvement that he's acknowledged, which, if he can improve his defense, step it up to what it was before, that makes him such a scary person alongside Curry. And those Splash Bros, we know they're going to work out. Now, I would say that Draymond, Curry and Clay haven't really played much. I think they've played 11 minutes in total, which is not a very good thing, but we know they got all the chemistry from their past, and we'll see how they perform in the playoffs. Then you have someone like Andrew Wiggins, and yes, he isn't an all-star starter, but he's still a really solid player, and I would say maybe a little bit like a borderline all-star or close to an all-star. He was averaging 17, 4 rebounds on 40% from 3, and he needs to step up. There's a lot of X factors in this team, and Andrew Wiggins is one of them, and we'll talk more about them later. But Wiggins, he needs to step up. We saw in the Timberwolves that he can put up stats. He has all the physical tools, but in the Warriors team, he's just been more complete, been more efficient with his three-point shot, taking better shots. His defense has improved, and if he can further improve, then this is such a scary team. I mean, like, already that big three of Steph, Draymond, Clay is scary, but if you add Wiggins, if you add Jordan Poole, which we'll talk about next, this team is just going to be so scary. And talking about Jordan Poole, he stepped up when Curry was out. I think he averaged like 25 points when Steph Curry didn't play. And if he can step up as, I think he would be the sixth man, then he, along with Wiggins, can just elevate them over any team. And if both of them suck, there's a good chance that the Warriors just plummet and they're going to shoot them out of games. But if they're hitting their shots, if their Wiggins is playing solid defense, then this team has a chance to even beat the Suns, I would say, because of how talented this team is. Now, I would love to see a Warriors-Suns series, but I still think that those two players, if they step up, this team just has all the tools to make it all the way to the championship and potentially win it. Then you have someone like Jonathan Kuminga, who didn't start the season off very well, but we know he got all the talent. He hustles like crazy. He's a good rebounder, solid defender, and that's a young guy you want. Now, he is a young guy, so he's going to make mistakes, which you don't want in the playoffs, but still, I still think that Kuminga, they can build around him, and this is going to be a really valuable experience. And if this team is healthy, they are legit. Now, Steph Curry's injury that Marcus Smart gave him, now it isn't completely sure if he's going to come back, and I think he will come back in game 1, but he'll only play like 20-25 minutes because you need Steph Curry to be fully healthy. And yes, the Nuggets are such a good team, but I still think that the Warriors match up pretty well. And overall, they faced decently against the Nuggets, I would say. You got Kevon Looney and Draymond Green on Jokic, and yes, Jokic is still going to dominate, but those are two solid players, especially Draymond, and Kevon Looney is just a solid center who can give his own. And who's going to stop Steph Curry? Who's going to stop Jordan Poole on the Nuggets? Who's going to stop Klay Thompson? And those guards are just going to go off. Wiggins, because if you put like Aaron Gordon on Steph Curry, who's going to guard Jordan Poole? Who's going to guard Klay Thompson? Who's going to guard Andrew Wiggins? And there's just so many options with this team, and I personally have them beating the Nuggets. Now, if the Nuggets were fully healthy, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, that would be a different story. But I would personally have the Warriors. I mean, Jokic is just so good. So my prediction is going to be Warriors in 6, because this team, especially if Curry can come back to what he was like at the start of the season, then this team is legit. And then if they do beat the Warriors, they'll most likely face the Grizzlies. I mean, if the Grizzlies beat the Wolves, which probably the favorites too, and then I think they can beat the Grizzlies. I mean, the Grizzlies are such a good team, but the Warriors still have a good shot. And then if they face the Suns, now I'm not completely sure about that, because the Suns are so good and they match up pretty well with all the versatile defenders, but I just really want to see how the Warriors can perform. Now, the health is going to be an important thing. Can they stay healthy? If they can, then they're definitely one of the favorites to come out of the West and maybe even win the whole thing. But I personally think we should believe in the Warriors. This team is just so well constructed with so many offense options, so many defensive players that can clamp up anyone, but we'll see how they perform. So that's going to be my thoughts for the Warriors. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on next time.